time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the Dixie Line Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Thursday podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hamilton, along with my co-host from left field with his opinions, John Riley, and we welcome you to the Thursday podcast. It's brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. You got ideas? You're involved with projects, they got materials, and they can help you put together your game plan. Go to dixieline.com to see all the things that they have to offer. John Riley, good afternoon. Man, there's a ton of stories to talk about. We're in the middle of spring training. We're just about to enter NFL free agency. We got all things March Madness right at the front door. NHL trading deadline is coming on. I just vote we stay here through Saturday and just do this podcast nonstop. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You were just telling me the wind was blowing in Peoria.
Unbelievable. We got so many unique storylines to talk about, starting obviously with baseball. Just a couple of business notes. We do this podcast because we like sports. We do it because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Lots of topics on the table. We express opinions. Some are valid, some are from left field, but that's okay. And then we open it up to you. We started this thing called Fans Forum. It's freaking unbelievable, the response that we get from people who want to participate, who've got something to say. John Riley, just explain for the people on the live stream how Fans Forum works, or for those that watch it later, how they can still message us and get the information, their question, their statement to be part of Fans Forum.
Can I get a call on my Kiss My Aztec line?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the same thing as talk radio back in the day. I mean, we're doing it by chat. So just type in your comment or question for Lee in the live chat on X, on YouTube, on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum. Do that after the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines. And yeah, if you comment on some of our recorded shows, some of those great comments kind of find their way into the social media section of Fans Forum.
Have it take, don't suck. Fans Forum chat box is made just for you. We're going to go a lot of different directions. Just a reminder, I write about sports every day of the week. If you've never checked my website, you're really missing something. I urge you to go to the website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com, and read what I write. The best 15 minutes in sports, it's all written. You give me 5 minutes, I'll give you the whole world in sports. And read my one man's opinion column. Today's column is on the passing of Lou Holtz. So feel free, participate in a wide variety of things that we do. The website, you can also register on the website right there to get Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Means you join our email list, which means you get 2 newsletters a day. I don't know anybody that's given people all this free information twice per day. So sign up to get the newsletters. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe, because then when we put additional videos up on the YouTube channel, ding, 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 you will get the alerts when there are new videos up there. Want you to give us a thumbs up. Somebody find the follow button, hit that, and 5-star rating. Give us a 5-star rating. It helps us grow this podcast enormously. And we're on 12 different social media platforms. We thank you for sharing part of your day with us. Live stream is officially off and running. Here's the green flag. John, where do you want to start?
Okay, let's go back to baseball. We got some big questions here about the Dodgers, the Padres pitching. What do you got, Lee?
Let's just roll through storylines. First of all, I know it's spring training. My God. The Padres conducting batting practice in the wind against the Seattle Mariners. When I left to come to the studio, the Padres were up 17-2 over Seattle in a Cactus League game in 20-mile-an-hour winds over in Peoria, and it was only the 3rd inning.
Oh my God.
Absolutely unbelievable. 12 runs in the 2nd inning. Seattle, I think, had their bat boy pitching in the 3rd inning. It was absolutely just demoralizing if you're a Mariner fan, and wow, that's pretty cool for the Padres. And of course, the big story obviously was the debut start of Walker Buehler, and SUN-MUN Song hit his first home run, and he hit it through the teeth of the damn wind to the back of the bullpen. It was really impressive. But anyhow, it only counts as one. By the way, doesn't count for anything. It's a Cactus League game. So be it. Let's talk about the Padres pitching staff, and then we'll talk about the Dodgers simultaneously. Walker Buehler on the mound today. First 2 innings, location a problem, is giving up a couple of runs. Everybody I've talked to is just so impressed with this guy's psyche to come back from the second elbow surgery. And once upon a time, he was the enemy because he wore Dodger blue. You know, his career record against the Padres is 7-1 with a 1.65 ERA. Now, that's when he was healthy before all the elbow problems. But everybody I've canvassed with just rooting for the guy because the guy just as tough as nails mentally and is dedicated to try to come back to be something that he was before. We got 3 more weeks of spring training. If there's no physical setbacks and if he can lock down his delivery, maybe he becomes the 4th or 5th starter. At this point, I'd say it's kind of iffy. I think we need to be patient with Joe Musgrove. Musgrove, of course, made his first start against Great Britain, the WBC team. That was a struggle to watch. He was pulled in the first inning, gave up a run, got banged all over the place 4 hits, hit a batsman, gave up a home run. Took a deep breath, came back out, pitched a second inning, got a couple of outs, wound up with 60 pitches in his first outing. Now we have to see how his arm, his elbow reacts after a 60-pitch max effort. You know, what is the second day back when they ask him to throw a bullpen on the 3rd day and throw a bullpen on the 4th day? How does he feel? Long process. I just preach patience with Musgrove. Michael King, he seems to be ahead of Musgrove and ahead of Buehler, but I'm not sure Michael King's trustworthy all the way back to being what Michael King was. His last start, 2 1/3 innings, 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks. He's not razor sharp either. German Marquez, they're trying to work with his release point. He's got a second exhibition start coming up. He really looks as if he's off in the distance. I've been told that Matt Waldron's going to wind up on the disabled list just before the season starts. He, again, shut down because of the hemorrhoid surgery. He's not doing any baseball-related stuff actually off a mound. He's doing soft toss, etc. The hit of spring training has been Randy Vasquez, clocked at 97 miles an hour, 3 straight dominant performances in a row. If this season were to start tomorrow, Randy Vasquez would be the second starter behind Nick Pivetta. He has made such a leap. I'm so impressed with him. And waiting in the wings insurance policy, Bradley Rodriguez. He's had 3 straight scoreless outings out of the bullpen, 1 inning per se. So he might be an insurance policy if anything happens to anybody. The other one that's pitched pretty well is Kyle Hart. He's had 3 good starts, and maybe thanks to Ruben Niebla, they've found some things in his delivery that's made his pitches better because last year he got knocked around and he gave up home runs. So far this spring, he's really looked pretty good. In terms of the everyday players, aside from SUN-MUN Song, the reality is Castellanos has to hit. Andujar has to hit. Neither one of them is really good at first base. There's no instinct at all for either one of them making the plays as quickly as they have to be made. So that's work in progress there too. So, John, that's my scouting report as we evaluate Padre baseball. Fans Forum chat box is open. If you're a Padre fan, do you agree with my sentiment? We just need time with all these guys coming off surgery. Nobody's really stepped forward yet, but we got 3 weeks to go. And your response?
Yeah, I mean, the pitching staff is kind of right where I thought they'd be, for the Padres. It is nice to see Vasquez, making some moves here. Yeah, people were commenting online about how he's pitching with authority. He's not trying to nitpick the corners, and he's just letting it rip. And that
97 miles an hour last start.
Yeah, it's like the ball's hitting that other gear, and so it's interesting how a guy like Vasquez was with the Yankees, was included in that Soto deal, and you weren't sure what you had with him, but I mean, it's got to go back to Niebla. He's probably figured out a way to kind of figure him out, right?
Well, it's a slow process. I mean, this is his 3rd year with the Padres, but wow, this has been pretty impressive in terms of potential growth. And his velocity is, the ball's just exploding. As you say, he's showing authority out there on the mound. Are you taking the first base glove away from Castellanos and Andujar?
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, I would assume that Sheets is going to get the majority of that because he's going to be the right-handed side of a platoon, right? So when there's a right-handed pitcher, lefty Sheets will hit. So you see more right-handed pitchers. So I think that'll be the answer here. Castellanos, he made a great play in his first game, but yeah, he's a little bit clunky out there.
Yeah, clunky. That's a kind word. So that's all things Padre baseball. You pleased, Padre fans? Fans forum chat box is open. Express an opinion. Let's talk about the Dodgers. As good as they are, as big as their payroll is, as many stars as they have, this Dodger team's got issues. We're halfway through spring training, and right now the rotation does not look like a rotation that you say hit the floor running opening day were the Dodgers. We have talked extensively about Blake Snell. I've been told now May 15th to June 1st. He's yet to throw off a mound. And it's been 4 months since the end of the season. Shoulder discomfort. He's yet to throw off a mound. Slow process there. They're trying to help Sasaki. Roki can't polish the third pitch. His last start, John, it was ungodly. In the first inning of his last start, 3 walks, a single, and a grand slam home run. Pulled. Sat for 20 minutes. They put him back in the second inning, third inning. He was much better. But is he trustworthy opening day, opening week of the season to be in your rotation? Because he still looks like he's a 2-pitch pitcher and the third pitch all over the place. So that's got to be of concern. Setback for Gavin Stone. He had shoulder surgery last year, went through the entire offseason, the entire regimen, pitched pretty well all through bullpens, batting practice, first start. Tried to throw after the first start. Pain came back in the shoulder where they did the surgery. They have shut Gavin Stone down. Bobby Miller, cut down completely. Shoulder complications. One's promising guy. Ohtani is not pitching. He's only doing light bullpen with Team Japan over in Tokyo. By the time he gets back from WBC, he may have only one potential start, which means he's not going to have pitch count build up and be ready for opening day. So this Dodger staff, as deep as we all think it is, they got a bunch of glitches right now. And we're only 3 weeks to go before the start of the regular season. One good note, Tommy Edman coming off this extended rehab and ankle surgery in the offseason, cleared, takes all batting practice, and I would assume on Monday is going to start doing infield work either at second base or maybe in center field. So that's the Dodger mid-Cactus League report.
Right now, as we speak, Instagram is shredding you right now. It's been going on for the last 24 hours. The one of the commentary videos you did, talking about these issues, about the pitching staff, about Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki, and now it's Gavin Stone. People on Instagram, Dodger fans, are like, shut up, old man. We've got this covered. We've got Yamamoto. We've got Ohtani. We've got Glasnow. We've got plenty of resources. We can bring in Emmett Sheehan. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Actually, I'm just presenting the topics on the table as to what is the Dodger storyline as of this hour.
Well,
might be different 3 weeks from today, and we'll talk about whatever it is 3 weeks from today. But Dodger fan on social media, suck it up. We're just detailing the specifics of what is truth as of this hour.
But it's true. They were saying it's spring training, Lee. What are you doing? No, these are legitimate stories. Now, I want to follow up on our last show because you said you wanted me to do some homework on Blake Snell.
Okay.
And so here, I got this. I mean, just the brilliance of AI. You don't even need to go to Baseball Reference. You could just type in a question. It'll do all the work for you.
But this. Do you know if it's true or not?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've verified a lot of these things. They show their reference. See, you're an old man. You're not trusting artificial intelligence.
It's called experience in life.
Yeah. But you got to go grind for 4 hours to run a spreadsheet to figure it all out. But get this. So Blake Snell's ERA by month for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So March, April is 3.49. In May, it's 4.39. In June, 4.40. And then in July, it comes down to 2.67. In August, it comes down further to 2.6. And in September, October, it comes way down to 2.25.
Wow, that's pretty good research.
So by month, this proves everything we've been saying. And so, yeah, you know, I question. I mean, a lot of the Dodger fans on Instagram were saying, yeah, it's load management. We got Blake Snell on load management. Because they know that he's not going to be 100% in March and April.
You're paying him this volume of money for half a season. If you're making that type of investment in a pitcher, should you not have control over his offseason regimen? Because this goes back to Tampa, through San Diego, to San Francisco, and now obviously Chavez Ravine.
Yeah. But that's why they've got like 10 starting pitchers. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Blake, if you suck in March and April, don't worry about it. You know, just go, you know, get a massage on that shoulder and you'll feel better. And that's great.
I mean, that's what I thought. I thought those numbers would be so polar opposite. That's amazing, John.
It is amazing. And this is his whole career, you know, and you can see, you know, anecdotally, we see it season by season, because he either is terrible to start the season, or he's injured to start the season, or both.
Right. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Dodger fans, whether you like the host or dislike the co-host, I don't care. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open, but isn't that interesting? The first half numbers for Blake Snell in the course of his career, how horrible they are compared to what they are starting in July. Why is he like that? Why is his off-season training regimen short-circuit who he is the first half of the season, considering the volume of money he's being paid to start, effective the first week of the season? Feel free, jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Wearing Dodger blue, identify yourself, and do you think I'm unfair to Dodger baseball, or should I have the right to present the facts as of this hour that are true? Agree or disagree? Tell the host what you think. Damn.
Echo Park, light up my Dodger line.
Okay, we move on. Next topic on the table. This is really some ugly news.
What a dummy, Jurickson. Come on, man.
Yeah, let's talk about the whole Jurickson Profar thing. So I will ask the question. He was so popular here, that one really great year before he left. So the burning question as it relates to Jurickson Profar, if you close your eyes, you see Profar hitting home runs. If you close your eyes, you see him run on the bases and the fans give him a standing O. I close my eyes, I see him standing in left field after making a miraculous catch against the Dodgers and jumping up and down, kind of taunting Dodger fan. And now he gets suspended for a second time within a 12-month span for PEDs, testosterone, and steroids. Second time. So it makes me look back and wonder, as popular as he was, tainted ball player when he was here in San Diego. Now all of a sudden, it really appears to me that he's a fraud. And, you know, I'll ask you, how would you describe Jurickson Profar now based on what we know about what he's done to himself 2 years in a row, what he's done to the Atlanta Braves, and how he left here in a blaze of glory? Is he a cheat? Is he dumb as a rock? Is he a fraud? Is he a liar? He's lost $21 million in salary now in the last year and a half, and I doubt he'll ever play baseball again. How could you be that stupid? How could you do this to yourself? How could you not be aware of what you were taking? Or were you aware and thought you could get away from it? Which then circles back to dumb as a rock.
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I felt the same way when I saw this news. I was shocked. I was disappointed. I was angry, you know, and I want this guy to be successful. Now, remember last year, or was it 2 or 3 years ago, when you know, Profar got busted was last year, and then prior to that it was Tatis Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And they both are getting schooled by Tatis Sr. in the offseason. So I don't know. I just hope something's not in the water, you know, like other players are gonna get taken down.
Are you buying stuff on the black market? Why the hell are you buying stuff on the black market when you got the best care program from any of these major league teams? That's the item. You took something you did not know. Well, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
If there's something strange out there that you might experiment with, AKA a supplement, It's all kinds of stuff written on the label. All you need to do is take a snap picture and send it to the Braves trainers and say, this is what's in this. Should I take this? So I just don't buy the theory that I didn't know. Not in this day and age.
It's he's making $15 million a year to play a child's game, and you screw it up like this. What are you doing? I mean, this is awful. But, you think about how would you remember Profar? This is clearly going to be at the top of the list, how we remember him. But there's a lot more to his story. He was like the #1 prospect coming up with, I think, the Rangers. He's always had this connection to A.J. Preller. And I remember when he was with, I think, the A's was where he was before he came to the Padres. Padre Twitter was like always talking about Preller is someday going to get Profar. And sure enough, he did.
Well, he was so highly rated as a prospect when he first got to baseball.
Yeah.
But and again, the black market, the stuff on street corners in the Caribbean, it's ungodly. But there's no reason for this to happen now because these guys are supposed to be better educated and they have great care programs. So if you're a longtime Padre fan, how do you describe Jurickson Profar right now and what he did? I mean, he screwed Atlanta. They invested so much in him, and Atlanta's got so many injury problems, and they let guys go. They let Ozuna go because Profar was coming back, and now they're both gone. Ozuna's in Pittsburgh, and Profar is done with Major League Baseball. And then you add on to that, they've had so many injuries to the Atlanta pitching staff, and we're not even to opening day. It's just
I just wanted to see, Ha-Seong Kim and Jurickson Profar on the same team, palling around like they used to. Those were good times.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, what a black mark on this guy's rep. Baseball fans, your opinion about that guy, Profar. Okay, we go from that. First pitch. We're ready. The WBC.
Yeah, right on. WBC. I'm fired up for this.
Yeah,
it's going to be great this year.
Play ball. So I broke down the rosters last night. I wrote about it on my website. We got 3 teams that are going to dominate this thing. I'm kind of stunned when I went through the rest of the rosters, how wafer thin virtually all these other teams are. But here's Team USA. I'm giving Scooble the ball, and then we're going to have Logan Webb, and then we got Paul Skeens. And by the way, that's Mason Miller throwing 100+ out of my bullpen. And the batting order includes Bryce Harper, Bregman, Aaron Judge, Schwarber, Raleigh, Will Smith. Now, who the hell are you going to pitch around in that batting order?
Nobody.
So that's Team USA. Team Japan, it's kind of unique. And I think they're a little bit thin in talent. Their frontline pitching is Yoshi Yamamoto of the Dodgers and Yusei Kikuchi of the Angels. And that's it. The rest of them are pitchers from Japan, but none of them are really viewed as major league prospects. The batting order, Ohtani, Muntaka Murakami, who had just signed with the White Sox, and Kaz Okamoto, who just signed in Toronto, and Seiyu Suzuki, who's had a nice established career with the Chicago Cubs. But they're a little bit thin on the pitching side. Dominican Republic. Should we just go to the finals right now and not worry about it? The DR starting rotation includes Chris Sanchez of the Phillies, Sandy Alcantara of Miami, and Cam Duvall, the giant closer of past years. And the batting order? Vladdy, Machado, Marte, Julio Rodriguez, Tatis, Soto. Can you say home run derby? So those are the 3 marquee teams. I would project probably Team USA, Dominican Republic in the championship round. Puerto Rico has hardly any pitching at all. Seth Lugo is the ace of their staff in Puerto Rico. Edwin Diaz is their closer. And really the only established major leaguer is Nolan Arenado for Team Puerto Rico. Korea's got even less pitching. 39-year-old Hyun-Jin Ryu, who just retired from Major League Baseball, is the #1 starter on Korea. Their everyday players involve the Dodger young infielder Ha-Seong Kim and Jung-Hoo Lee. And Mexico's got virtually no pitching at all. Taiwan Walker and the Seattle closer Andres Munoz. And their everyday players, Rowdy Tellez, Jaron Duran, Randy Arozarena. So these rosters are not really deep in talent when you take what I just told you about Puerto Rico, Korea, Mexico, no way do they compare to the Dominican Republic, or obviously Team USA, and maybe to a degree, Team Japan. So it's going to be fun. I just don't think anybody aside from the top teams has anywhere near enough pitching to hold up.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, you know? And I just remember I went to the semifinals of the year in 2017. DR played USA at Petco Park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a great game, you know?
Electric.
When it was like 2 all-star teams on the field. So this is fun. I like seeing guys wearing their colors. It's weird seeing Tatis wearing red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that, you know? But it is also interesting how there's like a Team Italy and a Team Great Britain. Is it like someone's got a great grandfather from the old country and that's how they qualify?
Yeah, he's eligible, and he hasn't pitched in the major leagues in 4 years, but he's eligible.
Okay. All right. So good on them, you know, so they'll have a chance to get in there. And by the way, Great Britain kind of spruced up their uniform a little bit this time.
Yeah.
Last time that was like a clunker.
They should wear the flag on the uniform. It should be the crest.
Yeah, like something like Austin Powers, James Bond, you know, just got that what do they call it out there? Not the Stars and Stripes, they have a name for it, don't they?
Yeah. So anyhow, Here we go. USA, Dominican Republic. Let's just go right to the finals because it's going to be great.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, have you kept up on this? Is an interesting side controversy that the Dominican Republic's batting Tatis leadoff. And Craig Stammen of the Padres isn't so sure that he wants to put Tatis leadoff. He says that's one of the unanswered questions about the Padres lineup.
I concur. Do you have legitimacy? Can Xander Bogaerts be your true leadoff hitter? You want Cronenworth at leadoff? I mean, Tatis with guys on base would be much more dangerous than Tatis being the leadoff hitter. The only compilation is if you have Tatis as the leadoff hitter for most of the season, that probably is 50 additional at-bats for El Nino.
Yeah.
Rather than batting him at fourth. But batting him at fourth, guys in front of him are on base, more run scoring potential.
You just got to hope Luis Campusano and those guys at the bottom of the order have a good year.
Well, I'll hold my breath on that one. Okay, feel free. You excited about the WBC? Tell you what, Team USA, Team Dominican Republic, yay. That's going to be good. So that's all things baseball. Fans Forum chat box is open for you. We are heavy-duty, all-time NFL, because that's what we cover in addition to being baseball-centric, and it starts on Monday morning.
The NFL news today is going to be great.
Let's talk about the NFL, trades, free agency, cap cuts. Free agency starts Monday morning. The big story out of the gate, before they even drop the flag, the Rams traded for Pro Bowl cornerback from Kansas City, Trent McDuffie. Now, they paid a hell of a price. Rams gave up a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 6. McDuffie, 2-time Pro Bowler. He is really gifted. Why would Kansas City get rid of him? Kansas City has a history of exiting players who are about to get their second or third big contract. They just don't do it outside of Patrick Mahomes. So I was stunned. But the Rams are clearing the deck. Their secondary betrayed them the second half of the season. They're going to get some injured guys back healthy, but they're not done dealing. Kansas City now winds up with the 9th and 29th pick in the first round, but the Rams still have the number 13 pick. And the first thing that came to mind when this story broke the other morning was I thought of you.
Me?
I thought of you. John Riley just running down the hallway here at the castle yelling, F them draft picks.
Yeah, that. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I thought it was a hell of a trade for the Rams. And I'll tell you what, Kansas City there at 9 and 29, Kansas City needs to address running back. I think they're going to take Notre Dame's running back, Trevion Love, if he's there at 9. And then I think they'll take offensive line, or there's so many great defensive players. They'll take a defensive player at 29. That's a big, big deal. Chargers. Let's talk about them. House cleaning has begun. They release Mekhi Becton, the right guard. They release Will Dissly. They release young offensive tackle Savion Washington. They got a second big problem. They cleared about $16 million by getting rid of those guys. But they got another problem. They don't seem to be willing to want to spend the going rate to retain the key guys. They're talking about letting Zion Johnson go on the market effective Monday. He's the guard, former number 1 draft pick. And even though he has staggered a bit in his career, he played better this year. Last year, he was awful. His price tag's $20 million. I don't think they want to pay Zion Johnson $20 million. And he got Khalil Mack, who just announced he's going to play next season. He's not going to give him another discount. He played for 15 last year. He wants more. He wants a multi-year deal. So that price tag is going to probably be north of $20 million to keep Khalil Mack. And I don't know what they're going to do with DOUBS-GB, who they discovered by virtue of that deal they got him from Baltimore. His price tag could be between $20 and $24 million. And he had a spectacular half season. But they want to do that? Joe Ortiz is dropping hints all over the place. I'm not going to be careless with my money. Well, geez, if he doesn't sign those two linebackers and let Zion Johnson walk, he's got holes everywhere on his roster. That's a big story there involving the Chargers. Patriots. I told you this was coming a week ago. They have released Stephon Diggs, their leading wide receiver. Part of it's got to do with the fact he had a $28 million cap figure and said, no, I'm not taking a pay cut. The other part, all the junk off the field with him, divorce, strangulation, accusations, etc. They rid themselves of the problem, but they're going to have to go find some wide receivers there in New England. Arizona releases Kyler Murray. This guy was 38 and 48 in the course of his career as a 7-year starter, was hurt a lot, very erratic, made a bunch of big pass plays, threw for a lot of yards, threw touchdowns, but threw picks, fumbled, took 195 sacks. They're done with him in Arizona. Taking a $36 million cap hit to say goodbye to Kyler Murray. Miami is about to release, we think between now and Monday, Tua Tagovailoa. $99 million cap hit. And they're going to splice it in half. But $45 million is still an ungodly amount of money they'd lose this year, and $45+ million next season to get them off the books. And this is a team that had a chance to draft other quarterbacks and instead took Tua. He's gone. Indianapolis, they signed Daniel Jones. Transition tagged him 38.7. That to me is awful pricey, but they need to have a quarterback, and he played pretty well till he got hurt. You know, I don't know that he's a superstar. I think he's at the top of the level of the second tier of quarterbacks. But geez, transition price is $38.7 million to keep him there. Dallas Cowboys, oh man, are they active. They franchise tagged George Pickens at 28. They turned around because they're way over the cap. So they restructure Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and their tackle Ty Smith's contract to get them below the cap. They got 3 more guys they're going to restructure so they can get further below the cap so they can go into free agency. That all sounds good. But see, when you take money out of this year, you push it to next year. Do you know what Dak Prescott's cap figure is, John, next year? $76 million.
Wow.
All-time high.
Wow.
So Dallas's Jerry Jones made the comment last week. We talked about it on the podcast. Jerry Jones said, I think we're going to borrow from the future. Yeah, I guess so. If you got guys with cap figures of $76 million next year, you'll have no money at all. But that's what Dallas do in their business. And the Raiders, this Max Crosby story is not going away. A report is now Chicago is willing to offer a 1 and a 2 to get Max Crosby. New England said, no, we're not giving you 2 number 1s for Max Crosby at age 30 coming off minor knee surgery. My whole ideology is you don't have enough good players in Las Vegas. Why would you delete one of the really great players? You got enough draft picks. You got enough cap space. You need to get more good players to put around Max Crosby and to put around Ashton Genty and to put around the kid Mendoza, who's going to be a quarterback, to put around the 2 tight ends. You don't need to stockpile more draft choices. Now you have nobody on the defensive front if you let Max Crosby go. So that's the storyline there. So, John, start with the Rams-Kansas City trade. Are the Chargers creating a mess with Joe Ortiz's public stances? I'm not going to be careless with my money. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, just interesting. The Rams, they seem to have like a different philosophy on how they treat these number 1 picks because there's 2 of them in that deal, and McDuffie is only good for a year, right?
Yeah, but all intent and purpose, and McDuffie's from L.A. He wanted to play for the Rams, so I'm sure they'll get a contract extension done.
Okay. So, you know, it's just interesting strategies here. These teams are making moves. Now, help me understand the logic in this. Like if you were to release a player and they're not on the roster, I contractually still got to pay them. But why does it have to count against the cap if they're not even playing?
Because if the piece of the salary was guaranteed and it was a signing bonus, you average it out. If I sign you to a 4-year contract and I cut you after the second year, whatever the prorated part of years 3 and 4 are that were guaranteed, bonus and guaranteed, goes into the cap at this moment.
Yeah, so I understand it goes into the cap. The question is why? I mean, because isn't the goal to have your roster that season to be competitively balanced with the other 31 teams?
So the roster is you have a certain amount of money to spend. You spend it any way you want. And if you're going to creatively finance the second year and the third year and the fourth year of that John Riley's contract, you're going to be held accountable if you made a mistake on this guy.
Yeah. And I just kind of wonder if that's a disservice to the fans.
You shouldn't have cut math class at UCSD.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying that, if from the perspective of the Dolphins, getting rid of Tua makes sense. But geez, I mean, the next year you take these 2 big hits and then it prevents the team from going out and getting some more talent to make up for the, having to start over at quarterback.
End of the day, you made a mistake in Miami.
Yeah, you made a mistake. I'm just saying the penalty is too severe. That's what I'm getting at here.
Okay.
And by the way, I thought Will Dissly was doing a pretty good job for the Chargers. Why'd they let him go?
High cap figure, almost $5 million for a part-time tight end who lost his job to a Rhonda Gadsden.
Yes, he did better too.
So, I mean, it's the end of the day. New math. Smart guy, you cut class, and look what happened. You had to go surfing instead of going to math class, and now you don't know how the salary cap works.
Those guys, they're MBAs, man. They're cranking the numbers.
Oh, those Ivy Leaguers, those capologists, damn. What do you think about this Raiders situation with Max?
There's a lot of controversy because, coming after you specifically, because you were saying that Max Crosby demanded a trade, but a lot of Raider fans are saying, no, we didn't. You're
I have not heard the direct words from Max Crosby, but all the people from inside are telling the insiders that he doesn't want to be there, that he's tired of losing, and he doesn't like Tom Brady's assistant, who is kind of a mole inside, that there's a lot of interference there. End of the day, I think he wants a fresh start.
Well, just imagine, I mean, the Raiders are almost starting over to a degree, right? And if you they're not going to be like playoff capable team until like maybe year 3 or 4 down the line. And by that time, Crosby is going to be a lot longer in the tooth. It might make sense to deal him. And frankly, I think the Raiders might do themselves a service of dealing out of that number 1.
I just don't think that's going to happen. I think that organization is so dysfunctional.
It is. Well, it's better now.
So who dislikes me more? Dodger fan, Raider fan?
Dodger fan love you when you talk great things about the Dodgers. Yeah, they're prickly. They want you on their team because everyone loves the Dodgers. But Raiders, Chargers, that's a whole different vibe. That's like old school rivalry right there.
I'm just covering the facts the way the facts are out there. I would not trade Max Crosby. I have reservations about Fernando Mendoza, but you need a quarterback. Anything's better than what you got. This is such a long road back. This dysfunction under the Mark Davis umbrella is beyond belief. You're a Raider fan. You can drink and do whatever you want and believe whatever you want. I'm telling you the facts. God, what a disaster. Okay, that's all things there. Let's talk about Monday morning, 9 a.m.
Yeah, when we got a big free agent list here. You want to bring up the big board here?
Yeah, this is the big board we just put together. And there are an absolute ton of players available in NFL free agency. And it might even be more because we're getting more veteran guys that are getting released in cap moves that are going to join that list. The only legitimate quarterback at the top of the free agent board is Malik Williams. He's the kid that was at Tennessee and then went to Green Bay as a backup. Is somebody going to pay him $30 million? He's only started 6 games in his entire life, but there is upside. There is potential. When he played After Jordan Love got hurt, he played pretty competitively for the Packers last year in their playoff drive. So we'll see. It's Malik Willis. I don't know how Williams got up there. Malik Willis of Green Bay. He's the only legitimate one that's there. Kyler Murray, that's a great athlete. Is he a student of the game? Arizona must not think so. A lot of injuries. He's just really struggled with any form of consistency. And then there's Tua. I think Tua's undersized. Tua's got the concussion history now. He'll get a job somewhere, but will he be a star quarterback ever again? Really don't know. Next name. He's leaving Seattle. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. He is going to try to get a big money contract. Now, he's been there 4 years, grown into the job, phenomenal past season, fairly big injury history. So I don't know what kind of dollar he's going to get, but it doesn't look like he's staying in Seattle. So all of a sudden, the Seahawks, who had him and Charbonnet, won't have either, because Charbonnet's not going to be ready for the start of the season coming off that major knee surgery. Defensive side, the war of words is over. Trey Hendrickson leaves Cincinnati. They did not tag him. He had 35 quarterback sacks in 2 years. If Myles Garrett weren't in the league, the whole league would be talking about Trey Hendrickson. Got hurt last year. He's going somewhere else to be somebody else's defensive end. Joey Bosa is available. The ex-Charger had a pretty good bounce-back year with Buffalo, but he's got a lot of miles on him. Maybe it's a one-year contract. Top cover corner is Alontae Taylor, New Orleans Saints. Pretty good football player. Kevin Byard, Chicago Bears. Very active safety. He played really, really well. That's on the left side. On the right side, on the offensive group, Mike Evans. He's going to leave Tampa possibly. Got gas left in the tank. That's a 6'5" receiver who's just been rock solid over the course of his career. The big gamble in Indianapolis is they're letting Alex Pierce go on the open market, and he was explosive, 1,000-yard season, 14 yards per catch. Indy wants him back. We'll see if he wants to stay loyal and play again with Daniel Jones or whether there's greener grass and a bigger payday. The wild card is Romeo Doubs out of Green Bay. A lot of injuries and concussion issues with his career, but he's been very productive. He's a kid that played out here in the Mountain West Conference. Offensive line, Tyler Linderbaum, supposedly has already been offered $21 million per year to stay in Baltimore. Is not yet signed. He's just kind of a rock and an anchor. I'd be surprised if he left Baltimore, but he's gone on the open market. Rashad Walker, a late developing left tackle from Green Bay. The Chargers, Zion Johnson. Pittsburgh's offensive guard is an unsung hero. He's a good player. Isaac Seumalo, not a household name. Connor McGovern, just let go by the Buffalo Bills. He's a center. He's probably the second best center on the draft board. And then, of course, when we talked about the linebackers, then the top two linebackers are both Chargers. I don't know that the Bolts could survive if they let both these guys go, but Joe Ortiz does not want to pay Khalil Mack $20 to $24. He doesn't want to pay Owe $20 to $24. So, John, really unique group of names.
Yeah, there's some big names on the board, but I'm just thinking if I'm like a team that desperately needs a quarterback, do I really want to sign Tua or Kyler Murray or, Malik Willis as a backup? I mean, so it makes you wonder, like, do some of these NFL franchises that, let's just say they're not, elite franchises, do they just want to get a veteran in there just so they have a respectable quarterback and they have a respectable team and they'll still get season ticket holders to stick around? Or do you think some owners would say, F that, I don't want to bring in another retread. I'm going to, go all in on this young kid and I'm going to give the young kid the chance. But maybe is that too risky because the season ticket holders would bail ship?
No, I don't think they'll bail, but, I think the ideology is next year's draft is supposed to be a bonanza with quarterbacks led by Arch Manning and everybody else. So you're going to just kind of drift through this season, tank this season, and get a high pick and get one of those great quarterbacks, because that's what some people are thinking. Of the group, like I say, Willis has played okay, but he's only had 6 starts in the NFL. I can't see him signing him to a 5-year contract at $150 million. I would take a shot on Kyler Murray because you can probably get him at a bargain price on a 1-year show-me deal because he's going to get paid from Arizona. He's owed $38 million.
He's a little guy.
He's a little guy, but maybe in the right offense with a better team around him, maybe he's more productive. I don't know. Tua, I mean, the rumor is he winds up with a place that has had a coach that he's crossed paths with before. Maybe Tua winds up on a one-year deal. And again, he's got guaranteed money. Again, you're renting him. He's got to prove himself. You're buying your year till you get to next year and the year of the quarterback on the draft board.
I can't imagine Mike Evans playing for another team. I mean, he's always been with the Buccaneers, hasn't he?
His whole life, and he's been a stud. Now, last 2 years, he's had significant injury problems, but boy, he's a gamer.
I mean, how long has that guy been in the league?
10 years, 12 years?
Was there another receiver, Chris Evans? Or is this the only Evans for Buccaneers?
No, there've been multiple, but this has been the star.
Yeah, he's been the man.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver almost on a year-by-year basis till he got nicked up.
Wow.
He's a pretty good player. He's going to get some action on a shorter-term contract. He's not going to get a 4-year contract at age 31, 32.
Mm.
And the offensive line is going to be fascinating to see what happens with Linderbaum, because everybody needs quality in the middle of the offensive line, and he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, everyone needs O-line help, and it is weird that the Chargers might be letting one of their number one picks go. I mean, they're already losing, Becton. Thank God they got rid of him. But
and Bozeman, the center's gone.
Yeah, so I mean, if Zion Johnson was at least decent, you think they want to keep him around just to plug a hole.
The problem is he's only 25. I think there's still upside with him, and you're going to pay him $20 million a year over 3 or 4 years. That's a big time commitment for a guy who hasn't played very consistently. Was supposed to be a star when he came in here out of Boston College. I thought this guy's a really good player, and he played really well. And then he had a miserable season, and last year he was off and he was on. So anyhow, free agency starts at 9 a.m. on Monday. That's when teams are allowed to talk to players. Wednesday, they can start signing players. So you're an NFL fan, we'll continue to cover it, but that's the latest there. We go from that. Let's talk college football.
College football, and we lost one of the old ball coaches.
Oh, he was an interesting personality. Go to my website, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. Read my one man's opinion column about that guy. Lou Holtz passes away. I started to sit to write, and all these memories came flowing back of me crossing paths with Lou Holtz in a couple different dimensions. Southern gentleman, but a firebrand of a preacher. He was as smooth as a shot of bourbon, and he was as rough as sandpaper. Notre Dame would go to Mass, and then it'd go after the refs. His record in South Bend was 132-2, and he led Touchdown Jesus to the 1998 championship team. He was also the head coach when the Catholics played the Convicts, Notre Dame versus Miami.
Right on. Also
the head coach, the game of the century, Notre Dame, Florida State. They won both those games. His career took him to a lot of strange places. He rebuilt Arkansas. He went from 0-11 to 12-2. He rebuilt South Carolina. He started at North Carolina State. He was at Minnesota, and he was at William and Mary when he began his career. Successful every place he went. And I thought about him as a broadcaster. There were not enough hours in the day to sit and listen to him and Lee Corso talk football history.
Oh, my God.
It's really funny. He interacted with so many players. And, of course, Notre Dame was really an underachiever. I read something in the early morning hours today. In the history of Notre Dame coaches, and they've had some really good coaches, he had the best record against top 10 ranked teams of anybody in the history of Notre Dame, going back to Ara Parseghian in the 1950s. Wow. And Notre Dame has had good years, great years, national championship year or so. Tony Rice, quarterback of that 1998 team, had a sign that he put up that said, "God is my shepherd, but Lou Holtz is my coach, and I listen to both of them." That's kind of cool. And they made a bronze statue and put it outside Notre Dame Stadium, right under the Touchdown Jesus painting. Hell of a guy. Oh, hard ass though. But he could burn you with his glare and stare. I met him, interviewed him twice. Fun guy. West Virginia strong. Most interesting guy. Loved the Mountain State. Grew up on the river. Stories he'd tell about growing up poor. He was a 150-pound linebacker at Kent State and then became a great football coach. Passed away at the age of 89. Not everybody loved him. I'll tell you, he was a hard ass. And not a lot of people liked his political stances, most recently about your president. So it's really interesting. But I'll tell you what, the man accomplished a hell of a lot. And he was such a diverse personality. He could be this at the start of the sentence, and he'd be flaming red ass by the end of the sentence. It's amazing. I tell the story about press conference, Notre Dame's unbeaten season. He said this press conference right at the end of the year. They're playing Navy in late November. Here's Notre Dame, unbeaten, ranked way up. Here's Navy, 0-9. And he's screeching to his players, "You don't focus. These guys from Annapolis are going to beat you. They're going to beat your ass." And he just went on and on and on. And I asked him that story. I said, "Is that true?" He said, "That day, what I said was true." I said, "But Navy was 0-9. And then I also asked him a question in his interview about his experience. He coached 1 year, part of a year with the New York Jets and walked away from it. I think he was 3-9 when he quit. I asked him about that experience. He looked at me and he said, "Lee, you never made a mistake?" He was so cool. And I crossed paths with him at a charity function in West Virginia. He donated all of his football memorabilia to his hometown, a place called East Liverpool, Ohio, which is right on the northern panhandle tip, so they could build a big sports museum. And his commemorative speech when he was announcing he was donating all of his football memorabilia to his hometown, it was amazing. It was part Grand Ole Opry, and it was part recruiting sales pitch. And they got the museum built, the Lou Holtz Museum in East Liverpool, Ohio. Interesting gentleman. So age 89, hell of a guy.
Wow. It's interesting to hear the history, especially through your eyes, because you've followed his career. Now, I have a very different angle on the whole thing with Lou Holtz because I didn't know his history, I just knew when he was the head coach at Notre Dame. And the first thing is how in the hell is this little old man like coaching a big football team? He just seems so out of place, but they would talk about his history and the man was legit. The other thing that I always remember, and this is just a weird thing about Lou Holtz, is your old colleague, Jim Rome. And when he started getting his show going on Mighty 690, he said that, he created that gloss where all of his nicknames.
Yeah.
And Lou Holtz, I remember, is one of his first ones. And he called him Granny, from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Well, because of the glasses and the wind.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarity to that. And that always made me laugh. And yeah, sure. He was entertaining. I remember seeing him up on the studio show. So, he was a big guy in college football. And yeah, he had a brilliant career.
Age 89, he lived a full life. He really was. Yeah. Interesting gentleman. So we remember Lou Holtz. Go read my One Man's Opinion column on my website, because when I started to write that last night, all these memories came flooding back of all the different things that I had experienced with him. So that's where we are there.
I think we're at halftime, Lee.
We are almost at halftime. We are at halftime.
Okay.
Podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they got materials. You want ideas, they can be your best friend. Dixie Line's known for so many things, but we're going to talk about maybe the biggest thing they do, aside from selling lumber. Sell lumber to people who do projects, obviously. They supply lumber to all the contractors building all these developments here in San Diego. But what they do with windows and doors, John, that's pretty impressive. Whether it's just replacing windows and doors in my house built in 1975, or whether you're doing a total renovation and you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people right now during the spring as they're probably realizing, hey, man, these windows are drafty. And if the cold is coming in during the winter, in the summer, the air conditioning is going to be going out the window, because it's not sealed properly. And windows they degrade, they over time, and you got the salt air coming in here along the Pacific coast. So the folks at Dixieline are terrific for doing vinyl window replacement. So they're very inexpensive, relative to some of the big deluxe windows you can buy, but they're very affordable. And what happens is with these new windows, man, the window glides nice and smooth. It's not all rusted. I mean, it really makes a big difference. And the guys come in, Dixieline guys come in, they do the full installation, and they keep the whole install is done cleanly. And when it's all done, I mean, most of our customers at Dixieline, they're thrilled by the fact that they can have their windows replaced so easily, Lee.
Dixieline, they can do a lot of different things for you, but if you're in the market for doors or windows, think Dixieline. Go to the website and just see what they've got to offer. We are at halftime. Our podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber. And just a reminder, when we're done with hot topics on the table, you're going to take over this podcast. You make sure you have something to say. Bring the heat, meet. John, for everybody that's with us on the live stream, how does the Fans Forum chat box work?
God bless you, Lee. Don't ever change. Bring the heat, meet. Okay, yeah, you got a question or comment. Everyone's been piling in. Got comments about NFL free agents, talk about the Dodgers pitching. So if you got a question or comment, go into the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum.
Just a couple other reminders. I write about sports every day of the week. It's on my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. You give me 5 minutes, I'll guarantee I'll give you all the stories in the world of sports. Check the website. It's up there first thing every morning. And check my column on Lou Holtz's passing, one man's opinion column. Also want to remind you, want you to share, want you to subscribe. When you do all that, you'll get the alerts. You can subscribe by joining my Hacksaws Insiders group. You get 2 newsletters a day. Just send us your email address. You can register right there on the homepage of my website. When you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you'll then get the alerts every time we put additional videos up there. I don't know how many subscribers we have now, but it's pretty freaking monumental, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're about to break through the 10,000 mark on YouTube.
That's pretty impressive.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah.
I want you on my team, damn it. So want you to share, want you to subscribe, tell everybody what we do. Join me on social media. Just type in my name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button. We'll go to Hacksaw 1090 and hit the follow button. And more than anything else, we're in our 4th year. You can really make this thing grow. Give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. We're at halftime. There comes a second half and then Fans Forum. John, we got a lot of other topics on the table to talk about.
I mean, we are loaded today with content. All right, let's talk about some college basketball, bad losses and a Big Ten revolt.
Let's talk about the Aztecs. Let's talk about UCLA. They lose to Boise State. I shake my head and say, how is this humanly possible? The level of expectation here that they've gotten us to because they've been so good for so long, a.k.a. Steve Fisher, Brian Dutcher regime, is really amazing. But now, because they've not reached that level of expectation, I think we're all really disappointed. I just think it's an odd one-year aberration. I think it's a dip. But, geez, they're at Boise State, and they're losing 22-5 at the start of the game. And how, with your great defense, do you allow somebody to have scoring runs of 9-0 and 17-2? How, with their history of the bigs they have, could you get killed on the boards? Got outboarded 37-15. And it was the same old, same old. The other guy hit 12 threes, and the Aztecs can't buy 3 points with any consistency. The other guy went 25 for 36 at the free throw line. Poor Brian Dutcher. He emptied his bench by the 14th minute of the first half. He had everybody playing with the exception of non-scholarship guys, the trainers, and the SID, trying to find some solution. Magoon Guath's game has obviously gone missing. Now Miles Bird tweaked a knee, or maybe it was a calf. We'll just have to see how ready he can be to 100% going towards the Mountain West Conference tourney. It kind of blows my mind. You know, at one point when they played Boise here a couple weeks ago, that 100-point game, they were up by 24. And here I'm watching this at Boise, and they're down by 21. How does that happen? So, and the worst stat of all, I hate to be negative, I'm being realistic. They're 3-10 against the best teams on their schedule.
Yeah.
3-10. San Diego State, 3-10. Just, oh, what a setback of a season. So it's an aberration. They'll just have to hit the reset button, have to rethink what their roster might look like. Got to go find three-point shooters. They need score-up guys who can do this consistently, not hope that the Reese Waters of the world will have a good hand one night, because there's been no consistency in that. And to me, in college basketball this era, three-point shooters change the whole scope of the game. The UCLA story is kind of unique. We've talked about the season. It's up, it's down. It's Mick Cronin bitching about his players, about his defense, about the media, about travel, the Big Ten. So Cronin this week goes public and confirms he has led a drive of Big Ten coaches that's petitioning the NCAA to mandate a change in the transfer portal. And for the first time, that's the first thing that he said that I'll pay attention to. He says we should have a new rule inserted, voted on by everybody, and I bet it'd be a landslide vote. You're going to transfer portal? You get one transfer in your career. One. You know, we got college basketball players who played for 5 teams in 6 years. We got and quarterbacks who played for 4 teams in 4 years.
Yeah.
So Mick Cronin has proposed, and I bet if they put this up for a vote, every coach in the country would ascribe to it. Transfer portal, we'll have one transfer window. You get one opportunity in the course of your whole career to go in the transfer portal. So we'll see where that goes. That's the latest from the head coach at UCLA. So you want to do an autopsy on Aztec basketball, why it's so weird this year?
Well, I mean, it's not the offense. I mean, they've been scoring points. You know, it hasn't been the old clunky Aztec offense that we used to have when we had all these long, athletic, defensive, dudes. And that's the thing, is they don't play good enough defense. The rebounding was awful in that game against Boise. I mean, they're just getting out muscled. They're getting, like you used to say, they're getting out Aztec. So it's just like, we've had such a great run here for so long.
I'm sorry, you're spoiled.
We're spoiled, and I mean, think about what this Aztec basketball program was like before Fisher. I mean, it was just in the tank.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just a year where you're just like, I just feel frustrated, but now I gotten to the point of it is what it is. Can they catch lightning in a bottle in the Vegas tournament? They could, but I don't know. I mean, it's got to, they're playing UNLV. If they beat UNLV and New Mexico beats Utah State, it's a 3-way tie for the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And they can still back in.
The conference is so upside down. Please explain to me how Colorado State goes into Albuquerque in the pit and beats the Lobos this week.
That was the shocker, because there were like 3 or 4 games that have to happen for that 3-way tie to occur. And I thought, oh, there's no way Colorado State's going to win in Albuquerque. No way. And that's the one that happened. So there's a chance this whole thing could work out for the Aztecs. But in the end, it's just mind-boggling, because Miles Byrd is such a great defensive player. You got Magoon Gwath, who was the defensive player of the year, and now suddenly the team can't play defense. I don't get it.
And the three-point shooting is so erratic, so schizo.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It's a one-time aberration. It'll be interesting to see what the reset button is going to bring them, because Brian Dutcher's going to have to make some adjustments, I think, in terms of certain types of personnel. I still think there's a lot of really good young players there.
Oh, yeah.
There's, the intriguing question. Gwath's got no strength now to go to the NBA, so maybe Gwath comes back. I don't know what Bird's going to do. He does have the ability to come back one more year, but
both of their stocks dropped.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's, I mean, I wonder if Miles Byrd is kicking himself, because he could have been a 2nd-round pick. Might be on a roster, might be a 2-way player.
Yeah, but the way he's played this year is so sporadic and so erratic that I don't know. His defense, I concur with you that there's about 4 things on the checkerboard. They say, man, those are all positives. But boy, if you're not going to be very consistent offensively, you can't, can you be anything more than a fringe player in the NBA, or you'll be playing in freaking Fargo in the NBA G League?
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. And by the way, that Mick Cronin thing, like only one transfer.
Yeah. I
mean, could you imagine if they made that a rule for students that you couldn't transfer to another college? You only do it once in your life. That's a clamp down on their freedom. I kind of wonder, though, if we're going to get to a point here where the college players are going to unionize. so they can have some, negotiating leverage. And granted, right now it is a little too squirrely, but a 1 year only or one time only transfer. Yeah. The coaches would love that.
There's no continuity in college athletics anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's hitting the reset button every year.
I agree. Okay. Feel free. Jump on board. You're an Aztec fan. Kiss My Aztec line is now open for business. And you agree or disagree for the first time that anything that's coming out of Mick Cronin's mouth that makes sense? This one probably does. We go from that. Let's talk some NBA hoops.
Yeah. Going back to this gambling probe.
Chauncey Billups, we're waiting for the other domino to drop here. The prosecution trial date has now been set for November 2nd. The gambling, the rigged poker games, the inside information that Billups and another NBA player fed to gamblers to make profits. The report is 12 of the 31 people that are indicted have been offered a plea bargain. We don't know if Billups is one of the 12 that's negotiating for a plea bargain, but they've offered some type of immunity. The fact, obviously, these mafiosos, the Gambino family, who are evidently the cornerstones of this whole rigged poker game using athletes to lure people to the table. They presented 100,000 pages of financial documents, 800 photos, wiretaps. Billups was offered $50,000 to play in a rigged game that he did play in. There's video footage. There's obviously some conversations about scams and electronic signals that were passed from one poker player to another. Billups posted $5 million bond this week on bail when he pled not guilty. So only time will tell. I think this is all the tip of the iceberg. Once you got the Gambino family and these other mafiosos that are part of that, and he's part of this by affiliation, it's just an awful, awful thing.
Yeah, Chauncey Billups I always thought was a high character guy.
Yep.
So it's interesting that he got sucked into this thing. And it's interesting how this is a very different category of NBA gambling than players involved in point shaving or whatever. But yeah, this is crazy. I mean, it's like a movie plot, about, having a cheating scheme at a poker table.
Yep. We'll see where this goes, but the trial date has been set. We'll see whether or not they go after him and he gets convicted for being part of it, or whether he plea bargains and points at other people. Really ugly story. All things basketball. Hockey Hotline is open for business. Wow, what a Friday we have ahead of us.
I know. We got big boards up the wazoo today. Okay, let's take a look at Friday deadline day.
National Hockey League trade deadline day is Friday at 12 noon West Coast time. We've had 5 trades made so far in the last day and a half. We may get as many as 20 at least, if not more. Last year we had 46 total. Now that included big names, minor league players, etc. Still out there on the board, Vincent Trocheck, New York Rangers. Rumor everywhere is he may be going to the Minnesota Wild. Robert Thomas, St. Louis's leading scorer. The Blues are having a miserable season. He's being shopped. There was a report he was going to Buffalo, but it hasn't happened yet. Connor Garland, kind of a workman winger with Vancouver. Rumor is that the Islanders are trying to close a deal. Blues goaltender, the Olympic star Jordan Bennington, is on the trade block. At this point, don't know where he's being shopped, but he is being shopped. Patrick Laine, who has 224 career goals, but a history of injury and attitude issues. Montreal's trying to move him. Rumor, LA Kings possibly. Nazem Kadri, Calgary's Firebrand center iceman, being shopped. Blake Coleman, his line mate, a winger with Calgary, he's being shopped. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Elias Pettersson. He's with Vancouver. He's being shopped to some other teams. Guy's made an enormous amount of money, just not scoring the kind of goals that they thought he would score. The shocker is the star goaltender in Florida, Sergei Bobrovsky. He's about to become a free agent, and he wants mega money, and Florida just doesn't have the cap space. And Steve Stamkos has got over 300 goals, former Tampa Bay, now with Nashville. He is on the trade block. And right now, some of these are salary dumps. Some of these are impending free agents that a club can't sign because they don't have any cap space left. Some of these guys are underachievers, but the NHL trade deadline has now become like the baseball trade deadline. Wow. Do you know everything north of the border in Canada stops? That's all they're doing is paying attention. Everybody's walking around the streets of Toronto with their cell phone, waiting for the next bulletin about the trade. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen.
So talk to me a little bit about the Kings and the Ducks. I mean, what are they going to be looking for in the trade deadline here?
Well, Anaheim is red hot. The Ducks at this point, I don't think need to disrupt their chemistry anymore because they've made a number of trades since last year's deadline and then this past summer. They've built the roster. It's ready to win, and it is winning, and they're playing pretty well. They do have cap space. If I'm Anaheim and I'm looking for a chemistry guy, I would look at Kadri from Calgary. With all apologies in advance to anybody in the old Canada Network, the guy's a punk, but the guy can play, and he just shit disturber. That's what he is, and he gets goals, and he plays much bigger than he is physically. I'd look at Kadri. I'd look at Bobby McMahon, who Toronto can't re-sign. He's a walk free agent, but he's physical. He's going to wind up with 25 to 30 goals. That's the kind of guy I think if the Ducks were looking to add, but you have to give something up to get those guys. You can give up number ones, or you can give up some more young players. And Pat Verbeek has already made multiple trades involving his young guys. So that's that. The Kings are desperate. They've got to find goal scorers now, because they lost Kevin Fiala, and they've suffered another major injury. So they're really down in the goal scoring department. And I don't know what Kenny Holland's got left that he can afford to trade at this point. And the Kings are hanging on for dear life, trying to climb back into the playoff race. And they're just not scoring goals. And even though they got Artemi Panarin from the Rangers 2 weeks ago, they lost 2 goal scorers since that point in time. So they're really hurting.
I just remember last year's NHL trade deadline. It was crazy at the very end.
That Friday it was nuts.
I mean, you came in because you keep track of all the trades and then your handwritten,
I'm walking around doing this while I'm trying to do the podcast.
Yeah, you are. Sometimes I'll see you doing that in the middle of our live stream. Okay, man, it's a big time here in the NHL.
Yeah. Hockey fans, jump on board. You want to talk Kings, want to talk Ducks? I mean, the names, there are some real significant names there. I mean, those 2 goaltenders, Bennington out of St. Louis and Bobrovsky from Florida, I would have never, ever imagined those guys would be on the trade block. But again, everybody's got to deal with the salary cap. And when you get star veteran players who are about to get a big payday and you don't have the dollar space to give it to them, you have to move them. Hockey fans forum chat box is open. We move on. Next topic.
We move on. We're going to talk a little World Cup soccer league.
Yeah, let's just talk about where we are. Back during the course of the spring into the summer, there was enormous criticism of Pochettino, the coach.
Mauricio.
Remember, a whole bunch of players did not participate in some of the friendlies, and there was just the outpouring of anger from the veteran stars of yesteryear from Team USA was nonstop. Why are you doing business this way? Where's the pride and all that? Well, these players have changed their tune. These players are guys that we all respect. The Landon Donovans and Eric Winaldas and Alexi Lalases, Tim Howard. They've all changed their tune about Pochettino. And so there's a big press conference this week because he's getting ready to reveal his 26 as they get ready now to move into training for the Summer's World Cup. And these players, you talk about flipping, doing a U-turn in the middle of the street. Look at the quotes coming from the different players who starred for Team USA in yesteryear, that he preaches honor and pride. He preaches the mentality of the group, that he's changed the work culture. And his ideology is you're either with this program and do what I ask, or you're not with this program. And they think he has stockpiled so much goal-scoring firepower at different age levels. They're of the opinion that Team USA should get to the group of 16 and maybe has the ability to win a knockout round or 2. Now, remember, there's going to be 48 teams this year. This will be a very different World Cup. So isn't it really interesting how legacy players have come back and talked about Mauricio Pochettino in a very different vein than they were this spring and this summer.
Well, they were getting skunked in some of those games, weren't they? Like early on, you know?
Early on, but then they roared back. And,
yeah, they did.
And that was without Pulisic and without Weston McKennie, and the guys had stepped aside, and Pochettino told them, you need to take the summer off. You need to get healthy because you're not going to be any good to me next year if you continue to play and continue to get hurt. And they did. And they stepped aside. All of a sudden, they had the second and third wave of young guys that show up and playing pretty well.
I wonder if it was all part of the grand master plan, you know, and we weren't behind the curtain seeing it go, you know, planned out.
Well, because he had a master plan. He also wanted answers to questions. I think if memory serves, you want to hit me in the head here? Memory serves me right. I think he looked at 73 different players in a 6-month span during the friendlies to see how they could play. And that led him to all these young guys who are now on the second and third lines in the support groups are going to make up this final 26 because they had to be the guys who are going to carry the mail for them. The Balagans.
Oh yeah, Balogun.
Pepe. Reyna before he got hurt. I mean, he's uncovered a whole bunch of young guys, and they're all playing abroad. They've come back and just seem to have grown into this level of play. And we all know about Pulisic, and we all know, obviously, about McKennie and Ty Adams, guys who have already played World Cup soccer. But by virtue of him telling the veterans, you're hurt, you're not going to play, and he went through 73 young guys, and he's found second layer, third layer of young players to contribute. I'm going to be fascinated to see how deep they go.
Yeah, I agree. And it's fascinating to think about how deep, could they go into the second round of knockouts? Because in every sport, when we watch internationally, the United States is never terrible at anything. Usually, even in all the Olympic sports, they're usually really good or maybe middle of the pack at worst. But this is a sport I always felt like America was on the kids' table, you know, forever.
It's not their sport.
No, and you'd think that we should be good in all sports. And they eventually got in the World Cup, and then they won a few games, and they made it to the knockout rounds. I think that one time they did get into the second round. I can't remember what year that was. But wouldn't it be a thrill if they made it to the semifinals, like to the Final Four? I mean,
oh, that's a reach.
It is a big reach. But
let's get to the group of 16 and see where they are. But I think this roster has just look at how Pulisic has grown as a star now at AC Milan. And we've been talking and following him since he was age 18. Now he's age 25.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a legitimate world star. And now they've found all these other young guys to work with them.
Yeah, I remember for the longest time, the Americans were only good enough to play goalie in the EPL, you know. And now we're starting to get some of those scores, some of those guys
guys are in Germany, they're in the English Premier League. The guys are playing in Scotland, they're playing in Italy. France. It's very impressive. You're a soccer fan. Feel free. You optimistic about what you hear? And how about these guys? How about these great stars of yesteryear? Starting with Landon Donovan changing their tune about Coach Pochettino. Okay, we'll go from that. Final topic on the table, we're talking auto racing.
Yeah, 3 big races this Sunday.
Yeah, let's just run through this quickly. NASCAR, good old boys, go to Phoenix. Big storyline, can Michael Jordan and Tyler Reddick do it again? They've won the first 3 races of the season. Reddick had never won anything in his career. Jordan's team had just staggered. They've won 3 straight races. Nobody in the history of NASCAR, dating to 1949, has ever won the first 3 races. And now Michael Jordan, a 23X team, and Reddick are going to try to make it 4 in a row when they run in Phoenix. Joe Gibbs Racing has gotten an injunction against their former director of racing, Chris Gabehart, who quit last year. Defected, went to another racing team, Spire Racing, and Joe Gibbs found out that Gabehart stole all the research and development files off the computers before he went to Spire, and a judge this week handed down an injunction stopping Gabehart from working in that same role, race director, with Spire. And a weird story just developed this morning from Rick Hendrick Racing. Alex Bowman, pretty good young driver, he had to be pulled out of the car in the middle of the race in Texas last week at Austin because of dizziness, and he got sick in the car while he was racing. They don't know if it's got to do with exhaust fumes or what. He's been described as having vertigo. He's been pulled out of the car permanently now, health-wise. That's a big story. So that's the NASCAR story. Keep an eye on 23X and see what they do this week at Phoenix. It's kind of a unique weekend. I've been to Phoenix International Speedway. It's an old track. It's really cool. They've really spruced it up. They're hosting a doubleheader. They're hosting IndyCar one day, NASCAR the next day.
Wow.
So the Indy guys are showing up. Is anybody going to be able to catch Alex Palou? Ganassi Racing. He's won 3 straight points championship, and last week he ran away from the field in the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It beat everybody by 12 seconds. So Palou, IndyCar, this weekend, part of the racing doubleheader at Phoenix. Formula One. The season starts down under. All the teams have arrived in Australia for the Australian Grand Prix. And again, I don't know if you heard this story. You got drivers all over the country that are flying in to Australia. You got pit crews and staff members, some of whom are in the Middle East, who got trapped because of what's happened there.
Oh.
And F1 chartered 2 emergency flights to get employees and staff members of 11 different teams out of the Middle East, flew them out in the middle of the night and got them to Australia. And now that everybody's in Australia, what's the tone? You knew this was going to happen. So these are quotes from the first press conference this morning down in Australia. Your guy, Max Verstappen, Team Red Bull. New rules, everything's changed in Formula One, new cars, new structure. Max Verstappen says, those guys at Formula One have ruined the cars. It's not racing. Lewis Hamilton says, to be in this cockpit is too complex. How are we supposed to race with all the adjustments we have to make with all the cars? Christian Horner, former Red Bull executive, now an analyst, says they have created Frankenstein with the new 26 car for Formula One. And get this, Aston Martin this morning indicated they might have to pull out because they have not been able to get their car dialed in to run safely to protect the health of the drivers. Their engines in Aston Martin's Honda are so heavy, the car vibrates, and the drivers are saying by lap 15, they have nerve problems with their hands, their forearms, and their neck because the shaking of the car was so bad. Aston Martin said this morning they told Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, the 2 drivers, they may have to withdraw from the Australian Grand Prix. I mean, it is so expensive with so much off-season testing. How could you put a car on the grid that wasn't polished and ready to run, and they can't figure out what to do with the weight differential with the engine? The Honda engine, evidently, and the new buckets is causing all the problems there. Just absolutely amazing. And of course, it'll be the debut of Team Cadillac, the Michael Andretti idea to go to Formula One. They've been running 4 to 7 seconds behind the leaders on every lap they run. So, I mean, they got a lot of work to get done. So, boy, if you love auto racing, if you're a redneck like me, you like auto racing, you want to watch what's happening with Michael Jordan, obviously what could happen with IndyCar. And this Formula One thing in Australia is just, it is upside down. Nobody is happy at all with, and these changes to the cars are just totally radical. Power units, weight distribution, compression, different types of Pirelli tires, change in all the downforce package. I mean, it's really complex. Why would you screw with something so good as F1 has become and make such radical changes? And the drivers and the teams didn't have input as to what F1 was designing. You know, John Riley, here's the blueprint. Build the damn car. And these guys are saying, this car doesn't drive. Frankenstein. Okay, John.
Yeah, I mean, you see the paddles on those steering wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. You need like
There's 24 buttons on these guys.
yeah. And how do you drive a car
At 180 miles an hour?
Yeah, and try to make a move on someone? You got to push all these buttons. I just want to go back to NASCAR for a minute. Now, Michael Jordan's the owner of his team. I'm just so thrilled for him, you know, and now I kind of, you know, I don't usually make a point of watching an auto race, but I think I'm going to watch this one. You know, it's in Phoenix. Now, where would Michael Jordan hang out? I mean, they're not like in an owner's booth. Is he like in the pit crew?
No, he's in the pit stall.
He is.
Yeah. Now he's hired those guys. Those guys run the race team on race day, but he's there observing, and he's there when they do the evaluations. And this thing has happened so fast. I mean, to win 3 straight races, that is so hard. It's never been done.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, he's from North Carolina. I mean, that's good old boys territory.
Oh, that's where it was born.
So he must have been really exposed to this as a child, you know. So, and this is great. I mean, I just love the fact that you cover motorsports. I mean, who in the hell else does that in the world of sports radio? Barely anybody.
Hey, just suck it up. We cover all the topics on the table.
Oh, hey, here's a question. So, you know, when you're driving into Phoenix and you're on the, what is that? It would be the 10 freeway, right?
Yeah, 8 to the 10.
Yeah. But when you're just entering into the Phoenix metropolitan area, isn't there like a Phoenix Speedway there?
Yeah,
right off the freeway?
That's Phoenix International Speedway.
That's the one.
It's southwest of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And there might even be like a short track up there near the freeway too.
Yeah, I went to NASCAR races when I worked in Phoenix, and that was really the beginning of the explosive growth. I mean, it was a racetrack. NASCAR sent its guys in there. I interviewed Richard Petty there. But now it's big time. Now it's got all types of skyboxes and everything. I mean, it's phenomenal. And if you don't want to pay the big price, they sell tickets on one of the mountains that just overlooks the track. So you could sit out there with your beer and your binoculars and watch the race.
And they charge you money to sit out there?
Yeah.
This is like Wrigley Field sitting on the apartment buildings.
On the roof. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are topics on the table. We do sports talk the way it should be done. A lot of topics, a lot of opinions, and then we open it up to you. Fans Forum chat box is now open for business. We're going to give you as much time as we can. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you, specializing in doors and windows. Go to Dixieline.com, see all the things they have to offer. I'm ready. I don't know if he's ready. You didn't bring your helmet, did you? We're probably going to get some criticism.
There is going to be some here. Okay.
Let's go. Fans Forum.
Let's start with our friend Music to My Ears. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you.
F racist Holtz. I don't want to speak your language. I don't want to celebrate your holidays. I sure as hell don't want to cheer for your soccer team.
Well, at the end of the day, Lou Holtz said lots of things to lots of people, and he offended a bunch of people along the way, and he was pretty damn abrasive sometimes. But he could also be as sweet as a shot of bourbon going down. Many different things to many different people. But at the end of the day, his career record, what he accomplished at Notre Dame was just absolutely stunning. But he took some real strong political stances, especially in his later years, that offended an awful lot of people. But First Amendment, he's allowed to say whatever he wants to say. He was pro-Trump, and he offended a whole pile of people too. But First Amendment, he's allowed to have his opinions.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is just there's just some people that's been raised in certain parts of America that they're still stuck in that time frame, like in the 1940s or whenever it was, and they were growing up.
Well, he's born in West Virginia.
Yeah, he was West Virginia, and and so some people, I say, are still living. At least their view of culture is still back at that time frame.
I've gone. I go east because I got family relatives in Virginia and West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And you cross that state line in Southwest Virginia into West Virginia, and they're still flying Confederate flags. They're still fighting the fight. It's a different culture. And West Virginia is just an absolutely beautiful state.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgantown, I mean, that's a great university. And Charleston is a phenomenal city and capital. But that's the backcountry. That is real Appalachia financially. That's Appalachia intellectually.
Yeah, that's one state I haven't been to.
Oh my goodness, John! You drive down those country roads, and you see rebel flags.
Really? I'm just like humming a John Denver song in my head right now. Okay, let's go here to Matt DeBeast. And thank you for your donation. Hey, last year you said Profar didn't juice in 2024. Still think that, Lee?
Well, he didn't test positive at that period of time. Now, it may well be that he juiced after he went through spring training drug test, and maybe he never got tested again. You know, if you've never been caught, maybe you only get tested once or twice per year. If you get caught, you can get tested as much as 11 times on call. But it sure looks like if you look at his career numbers, he had that one really big spike year, and he was such a personality. And I don't know, you'd have to tell me. Yeah, pick a word. I mean, fraud, cheat, dumb as a rock. How do you view Profar now? Because I sure feel differently about him now.
He's such a likable guy. You know, he's got a big smile and he's having fun out there. And I liked it when he caught that ball and was jumping up and down at left field at Dodger Stadium. He's a guy that I always rooted for his success. And that 1 year contract he signed, that's one of AJ Preller's best signings of his career.
Tainted player?
He might have been on it. You know, he may have been on the juice that. It just makes you wonder that if the expectations of him were so high, like in 2010, 2012, he finally has his debut. He was injured all the time. He never really lived up to expectations. I wonder if he went for the juice just to try to have that one last opportunity of glory.
It's one thing to do it one time. To do it a second time? Holy cow.
Yeah.
And to know what the penalty will be if you do it a second time? You know, I'll give you, there's another prime example. So Tatis got suspended for taking a form of steroid to help with wrist injuries.
It was for ringworm, man.
Ringworm, so they said. But nobody knows this. Tatis gets tested 11 times a year now by virtue of the fact he was guilty. They can call him anytime.
Well, Profar must be under the same thing.
That's right, and he got caught a second time.
I mean, if he knows they're going to be testing you 11 times a year, why in the hell are you not zero tolerance on this sort of thing?
I concur. Some people are pretty stupid, or some people are pretty cheap.
Well, I was reading how he skipped out of Team Netherlands.
Yeah, he never said goodbye to anybody; just disappeared.
You see, again, that's just like, come on, that's not our guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we look at him very differently at this point in time.
Well, you're just a couple other people piling on Profar. If Profar is at it again, cheating with the PEDs, so is his buddy Fernando Tatis.
Well, the difference is, though, Tatis gets tested 11 times during the course of the year, and that could be any time. He could get tested in spring training. He could get tested opening day. He could get tested 2 weeks after opening day. When they call you, you have to report. No excuses accepted. If you fail to show, that's a positive test. So Tatis is a different player now. And maybe the great start he had in his career was triggered by what he was doing, but he did get caught. Can't get caught ever again.
Well, here we got sports fan piling into the high-speed sports wire. He goes, hey, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, Johan Rojas, Philadelphia Phillies, Ewing PD.
Yeah, he got an 80-game suspension too. I think the point that we don't understand or really know, again, a lot of these guys are Caribbean guys. The culture down there, the intellectual, the educational level of the players down there is not what it is here. They're hanging with the wrong people. They don't understand what they're doing. They're taking supplements from people or, quote, trusted advisors from the past. You know, my whole methodology is I'm in the major leagues. I know that if I'm going to try something new in terms of a supplement, I'm going to call my trainer back in San Diego in the offseason and ask him if he would approve of me doing it. I would not do this on my own. I'm not going to trust somebody in the Dominican Republic or in Puerto Rico, because that's where the preponderance of the suspensions are coming, both the major league level and still stuff in the minor league level. It's a lack of education, plus it's a black market, plus it's your homeboys.
You know, so let's give some props to Tatis for a minute here, because he started that foundation.
Sure.
To educate ball players in the DR really about finances, because, you know, he signed that deal with that agent early on, and he's learned the lesson. But you think that they're teaching the young men in the Dominican Republic, you know, like to your point, you don't eat anything unless you know where it's coming from. Don't trust some Yahoo on the street, you know. So education is huge.
I concur. And the Buscantes, who are the dealers and the agents, they're still on street corners. So it's up to the organizations to teach their players. But again, sometimes guys can't separate They're friendships from the guys in the past. And I don't, this Profar thing just blows my mind.
It does. It's very disappointing.
Okay.
Hockey Hotline, Steve, Zach, Botsford. Hey, good afternoon, boys. What do you think of the NHL trade deadline? Who do the Kings go after? Sharks look strong with Celebrini?
San Jose has just flipped that thing. Now, they lost for a long period of time, and they traded away the Joe Thorntons and the great players, the Burns and all those guys, and they rebuilt that thing. But boy, they've hit on a lot of high picks, but they had very high picks to hit on. They're kind of like the Ducks. You know, they lost and lost and lost, and then all of a sudden, here came Will Smith. Here came Celebrini. That's a really good team. Its whole future is ahead of them, and they got cap space. So we'll see if San Jose does much more. The Ducks, I think, have already made their transactions. I mean, what they've done to acquire veterans in the last 2 years is really, really significant. And the weird thing is they got some veterans who aren't scoring goals at all this year. Frank Fratano has won. The Ducks, the pressure on Cutter Gauthier, he's got 31 goals now, but the pressure on him and Leo Carlson is really, really high. I don't know that the Ducks have to do anything else because I think they've traded into this slot by virtue of all their past deals. San Jose might. We'll see. You know, both teams have cap space, but again, to get a veteran, you're gonna have to give something up. So we'll see what happens between now and 12 noon tomorrow. It will be busy.
Yeah, I mean you'll be running around with your head exploding.
No, I'll just be running around doing this.
Yeah, no, but you'll be sending me texts. Oh my God, can you believe this? That's usually what goes down on NHL trade deadline. Okay, let's keep going here. Go to our buddy Chris. Hey, thank you, Lee, for your touching tribute to the great Lou Holtz.
Thank you.
One of your best and well-written one man's opinion ever. Beautifully done.
So, like I say, check my website. I write sports every day of the week, and I write one man's opinion columns. And I don't do it just because I need practice typing on my laptop. A lot of it comes from my heart because I've experienced an awful lot with a lot of different people. And whether you agree with where I stand on certain things about sports or certain things on politics, doesn't matter. Just read what I write because I think it's really, really different. But thank you for the compliment.
Dude, you just don't stop, man. You're writing columns. You got all this sports data. You're doing the podcast. You're on KUSI. You're guesting on radio and podcast shows all around America and Canada.
That's what I should be doing. I got to remind you people on podcasts who with us on live stream. I do a big Saturday sports package, 6:30 a.m. Saturday morning. It's really different. It's kind of like my one man's opinion segments. But it's 7 to 8 minutes, which is an enormous amount of time. So I've been doing it for 7 years on KUSI on Saturday morning. So get your ass out of bed. If I got to get up at 4:15 to go to the TV station, you should at least do me the courtesy of waking up and watching it at 6:30. But I'm on KUSI every Saturday morning with a big sports commentary package. So take a gander.
You clean up real well for TV.
Yeah, not the only day of the week.
But usually I see your X posts. It's like, hacks on TV, hacks on TV. Like, alert everybody. It's like Paul Revere coming in. All right, let's go to Casey's, talk some Rams. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, great move by my Rams to get Trent McDuffie from the Chiefs, as he will help the secondary. What other moves do you think they make next?
Well, they're going to have to sign him to a contract extension, but they will. He's an LA guy, wanted to play here for the Rams. They got 4 guys in the secondary who are leaving. I don't think they're going to bring any of them back. The back end of their defense was, I thought, the biggest disappointment the entire season. Really let them down the second half. Some of it was injury. Some guys didn't play well. But I'll tell you what, getting McDuffie here to go with Quentin Lake, they're going to retool that. I'll be intrigued to see with what they do now with the 13th pick, because I had felt all along that they were going to take a quarterback with one of the first-round picks. I'm kind of surprised Kansas City didn't demand the 13th pick rather than settling for the 29th, but Kansas City wound up getting 5 choices over a couple of years span there. I think priority for them right now is they got to look at offensive line. I think they need some real insurance policy guys, but I don't know that this is a great offensive line year in the draft. Pass rush people, this is a phenomenal draft of defensive players. So I would, if you're asking me right now, I would think at 13, the Rams probably take one of those edge pass rushers, and then maybe in the second, third round, try to find a project offensive lineman. I don't know if they take a quarterback this year or they just kind of bide their time. And again, it'll be up to Stafford. Does Stafford want to play at age 38? Would he want to come back and play at age 39? But we got plenty of time between now and April to talk about that.
Do you get the sense that the Rams are saying, hey, man, we'll give you a bunch of picks because we're in win now mode?
Yes.
Because Matt Stafford is only going to be playing for another year or two.
Yeah, and Devontae Adams is only going to go another year or two. So I'll be intrigued to see what they do financially because, I'm just wondering, can they creatively afford to have Stafford make $40 million, which will probably get bumped up to, and Puka Nacua demand $40 million? That's a lot of money for two players, and you still got Devontae Adams' contract there.
Yeah.
But Les Snead, tell you, unsung hero, he's a really good player personnel. F them draft picks. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Let's talk some more football. Go to Bat Fan. Hey, will the Bengals trade Burrow? Since he became my adopted team after the Chargers left for LA, and it was mainly because of Burrow.
Well, Burrow's a phenomenal talent, great personality, but no. Mike Brown could never trade him. Joe Burrow is the only thing of credibility they have in Cincinnati. And when it's absolutely stunning to me when they put out the report cards last week with the ratings of the organizations and all the diverse things that they evaluate them on. They gave Zach Taylor, their coach, an A. Now, he may be a good guy, and maybe that's why I could give him an A, but, geez, they haven't won anything in a group of years since they went to the playoffs and the Super Bowl with a young Joe Burrow, and organizationally, it's just a disaster under Mike Brown's leadership. But Mike Brown's not going to trade Joe Burrow, but I feel bad for Joe Burrow because they just, from a player personnel standpoint, it's like they're operating in the 18th century. Their acquisitions aren't good. Their free agent expenditures aren't good. Their roster's ragtag, and you got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the other wide receiver. That's all you got.
Yeah, it's just a disaster.
Yeah,
and it was interesting in the AFC, had all these new young quarterbacks coming up, and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow was part of that mix. But now Joe Burrow is like buried.
He's standing there by himself.
Yeah. But what is cool at Bat Fan talking about here is that how people have adopted other teams after the Chargers bailed on San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to my childhood teams, the Niners and the Raiders. But everyone has like a story on how they picked that other team that they follow now. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know how we could ever do a poll. I'd love to know if the NFL fans who watch us on live stream, if they just totally quit. Do they want us to stop covering the Chargers? Should we just pay attention to the Rams because that's been the more successful franchise? Or are there still Charger fans out there that want to hear about Justin Herbert and what Joe Ortiz might or might not do, et cetera? So I'm intrigued of what people feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that, well, first of all, you should talk Chargers because you are so inextricably linked to the team. But there are fans out there that often say, why in the hell are you still covering the Chargers? Because they think the Chargers screwed you, and they did.
No, they screwed the town.
They screwed the town. Yeah, they screwed all of us. Yeah. But on the other hand, there's a lot of people that really follow the team, and they're not necessarily from San Diego. A lot of them are up in LA, and they welcomed them when they moved up there, and they're just really into the Chargers. And you produce a lot of Charger content compared to a lot of other podcasters.
Yeah. But we're starting to spend a lot more time producing Rams content because they really deserve it. Holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
What they've accomplished, what they've built since they acquired Matthew Stafford. I mean, 2 Super Bowls and almost probably should have gotten to a third or a fourth one.
It makes you wonder if they never did the deal, like Jared Goff or Matt Stafford. Would Jared Goff have had this kind of success? Because he developed a lot in Detroit.
He did, but look what's around him in Detroit, what they developed over a 4 or 5 year span in Detroit. Offensive front, defensive front. Now Detroit's got problems because of age, and Detroit's got all those stud offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They've all been hurt in the last 2 years, and suddenly Detroit's not what Detroit was. Stafford, boy, what an accomplished player he's turned out to be.
Do the Lions still have that guy Skipper? I remember he was an offensive lineman.
He's become an assistant coach.
He has. Interesting.
Offensive tackle.
Okay.
Yeah. But Penei Sewell is still there. Taylor Lewan, who is a great left tackle there. But those guys, they're starting to get long in the tooth, and both of them have had significant injuries. And those guys are the cornerstones to their offensive line.
Damn. You just pick an NFL team out of the air and you already know what the offensive line
I
is.
know what I know, and I'm not going to apologize it.
Okay, let's talk some more football. This is with Do You Love It? I still say the Raiders should send Max to the Niners for Mack and a pick and spend that number 1 pick and trade back and stock up.
Wouldn't be a bad call. Mac Jones has really grown as a backup quarterback who was a part-time starter. But how do you face your fans if you trade the best defensive player you've had there in decades? And that's a big, big issue. And they've got so many picks, they've got so much cap space. Don't you just need to retain your quality players and just build around them rather than trade out another guy? But the rebuild's going to take forever. The hottest rumor as of this morning is that the Bears are back into the conversation. New England said, no, we're not trading 2 number 1. Chicago said, hey, we'd be interested in doing a 1 and a 2 for Max Crosby. So the question is, does Crosby want out of there because they've lost so much? It's just not a place of any credibility.
Yeah, I think that the Raiders need to build assets. Mm-hmm. And I think the timeline on Crosby is different than the timeline on Ashton Genty, right? You know, the clock's ticking differently. So I think Crosby, you deal him. I still think you consider dealing out of that number 1 pick. If someone wants to offer you a ton, you take it because they got a long way to go.
Well, and it's such a great defensive draft. I mean, if you could wind up with 3 number 1s and buy yourself some time and then just spend your capital on defense and offensive linemen, although it's not a phenomenal offensive line draft, it's an unbelievable defensive draft. I could see that and just say, okay, we still got Geno Smith. We'll play 1 more year, the last year of his contract, and we're going to stockpile this with as many defensive draft picks and offensive line draft picks as we can, because next year is going to be the year of the quarterback, and we'll try to go back in and get one of those guys in the first round next year. That's not a bad game plan, actually.
Yeah.
Raider fans, tell us what you think. If we don't get you on today, we'll get you on next week. Go ahead.
Okay, Callan's got a question for you. How do I inquire to get you on my podcast?
It's real simple. Just reach me through my website. There's an email slot on my website. Send me an email and we'll see what we can work out.
Some of the old boys here online are reminiscing about the good old days in Southern California sports talk radio. And they're saying that Lee, here is one from Bobello. Hey, Lee's former coworkers are on 710 ESPN. Scott Kaplan, John Ireland, Steve Mason.
Yeah. They're up there doing their own thing. Mason and Ireland have been there forever. And then Kaplan wound up going there maybe 2 years ago. But it's LA. It's different. I think that the thing that just blows me away, because I get access to the radio ratings. I'm not supposed to, but I do. The radio ratings for LA Sports Talk are just abysmal. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You know, you got one station that's got the Dodgers and Lakers, and their radio ratings are horrific. 710 does not subscribe to the ratings. So it's kind of hard to understand where they are in the pecking order, but it boggles my mind. Now I understand it's Los Angeles, the biggest freaking market in the world, but the 570 KLAC ratings, they're 1.5, which isn't real good in a market that big. I look at the New York ratings, and WFAN is like a 3.5 solid consistently. The sports talk stations up in Boston, the EEIs and those guys, they're up in the 5 shares. Philadelphia Sports Talk they got 7 shares, WIP, etc. Same thing up in Detroit. So the ratings in LA I just don't think there's enough quality content there. And the radio ratings here, outside of the Padre baseball season, which makes 97.3 the Fan successful, their non-baseball ratings, abysmal. And the other one, 760, no ratings at all. How you could be on a 50,000 watt station and have no ratings at all? Not good. That's an indictment of leadership and ownership. And again, you don't have the right people on the air. Sports talks, it's a different time.
A lot of those hosts, I mean, you know, we talk about Mason and Ireland. Those guys are quality. Kaplan is quality. You know, John Schaefer is on 760. I think is terrific. I think he's a great bright light. One of the younger guys. So I don't know if I would shame the talent. It's just that no one listens to terrestrial radio these days. I mean, they're watching podcasts and,
but that's not true. It's not true in Boston, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Chicago. I mean, the ratings that I see, obviously New York, the ratings I see are phenomenal for sports talk, and these ratings are negligible.
But I don't even listen to like FM music, radio. So, I mean, I would imagine those numbers must be down as well because people are streaming the music.
No, I see all the ratings. FM music ratings.
But isn't radio overall, going down?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, San Diego's radio ratings are dominated by FMs.
Yeah.
The one news talk station was KPBS, which is really good.
Yeah.
Kogo Once Upon a Time was great, but that's really dropped. But I think that's more about content and who's doing what shows. All the music FMs that are playing music, or the Hispanic music stations, they got 7 and 6 and 5 shares, which is phenomenal.
But that's the thing that works. It seems like it's, Hispanic Latin radio, and then it's Christian radio.
But you can't walk around the street and saying radio's dying. It's not dying according to the ratings.
It's not dead, but it's like newspapers. It's dying.
No, totally disagree.
I think you're in a time warp.
Not in a time warp. I get the ratings monthly.
You get the data. Okay. All right.
You could argue with me, but like most things, you'd be wrong. Thank you for joining us, though.
Well, Bat Fan had a suggestion, goes, instead, Lee should recruit hosts for the first ever All Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Well, we've talked extensively about, should we do this every day? That's a lot of work. And there's no revenue to it at this point in time. Could we put together kind of a cool daily podcast? Yeah, but that's a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. The fans think this information, these graphics just show up. We do that. I talked to Coach John Quintera about, hey, what about doing a podcast every day? But it's way too much work for us. Once or twice a week for me is great, and this eats up a lot of my time. And John does, I think, maybe 1 or maybe 2 he does a baseball only podcast, and Kaplan does a bit of a podcast in addition to what he's doing up in Los Angeles. But the volume of work is just spectacular. Now, it's really weird because north of the border, because I do NFL notebook stuff on a couple different podcasts up there, and they do daily shows in Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver, which is and Toronto, where my contacts are. They do daily podcasts, but they've also been able to monopolize it because of sports talk radio and all those markets kind of disappeared. So they took the host and formed a podcast network, and they have lots of advertising. If I asked you to do this every day of the week, and if we found 25 cents and paid you 25 cents, I don't know that you'd want to do it because of the workload. That's the philosophy I took.
Well, it's one thing to do it every day, which would be great, but you're not 23 years old anymore. But I think what Bat Fan's getting at is building a network, and having, Quintera and Hacksaw together. And it's part of like building another radio station, but all sharing a lot of the same, let's just say, podcasting infrastructure, for post-production and everything else. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, but if Coach Quintera and I talked about doing 1 hour a day, but 1 hour a day takes a lot of prep time, and it ties you up. And if it takes you 2 hours of prep to create content for 1 hour, so I'm going to do 5 days a week.
Well, but we all assume that you just do this every day anyways.
Well, I do, but
you just live, eat, and breathe this.
It's a great idea. How to get from one point to the other is different. If we had sponsorship, if we had somebody who could help us sell it, then maybe we'd consider expanding. But John knows, because John and I compare info all the time. I am so stretched.
You are.
From an hour standpoint.
You got a lot going on.
Check the website. Where do you think all that website stuff comes from? I write all that, which means I do all the research and I network with people to get all the data. It just, that's my fault. I created this.
You're whining about your success. Okay, let's do this. Let's we could probably squeeze in one social media before we
Go
wrap
ahead.
this bad boy up. And let's go to let's talk about UCLA.
Mhm.
Hey, this is from Benny. Hey, Mick Cronin's players didn't quit on him. They won Saturday night. There's a pride in Westwood. There aren't 11 national championship banners hanging up in Pauley Pavilion for nothing.
No, there's no doubt this team has got great tradition and legacy. This team has gone through kind of a season of struggles. They've lost a bunch of players in the transfer portal, which I think is a bit of a problem. My only beef is Cronin's blaming everybody in the world except himself. It's your program, your recruits, your defense. If it doesn't fit, doesn't work, then you got to make it better rather than bitching about everybody all the time. So that's where we are with Mick. And, you know, what he did to denounce one of his players a couple of weeks ago, I thought with humiliating that player was absolutely terrible. So we'll see. But he's got a tough handle because he recruits well, knows players, but he's not able to retain players. And he thought going to Europe a couple of years ago was going to change everything, and they got him here, couldn't coach him up, and they all left. And they're all starring other places now.
Yeah. Isn't one of them at is it Michigan?
Yes.
Yeah, one of
the
the
big
international
center from Spain.
Yeah. Mick Cronin, man. I mean, they've been winning lately, though. I mean, do you think that UCLA could sneak into March Madness?
Oh, awful long shot. Well, they got 8 losses.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know that they're under any consideration. It'll be in the NIT, but the NIT is not what the NIT used to be, which is sadly.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. We got time for one more.
One more. Let's do one more. We'll talk Dodgers. And this is with Manlo Fernandez. He goes, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani, Sheehan, Sasaki, River Ryan with Robo as another option. Calm down, Hacksaw.
No. Got to stay healthy, though. And are they all healthy? No. Are they all throwing strikes? No. So that's an issue. The one thing Dodgers have that virtually nobody else has is depth in numbers, and that's obviously what's made them so great in terms of getting into postseason and doing things in the last couple of years. So we got 3 weeks left in spring training, and we'll just see if Ohtani will be ready to throw quality innings as a starter when the season starts. We'll see what the loss of Snell till May 15th or June 1st has to do. Can they complete Sasaki and make him a 3-pitch starting pitcher, or is he going to wind up at Oklahoma City? So only time will tell. They do have Glasnow. They do have Yamamoto. No argument there. I'm not saying that they're about to fall face first into the gutter, but they got some issues here. But they also have enormous depth.
Yeah, the Dodgers have it all, right?
Yep.
And they get all the pretty girls. It's just Dodgers every day. Dodgers,
the best the money can buy.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a great season. Hopefully it all works out for them.
Listen, we appreciate you being part of this podcast. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Please email everybody, text your friends, tell them Hacksaw's back, and join us. I want you to give us a thumbs up, hit the button that also gives us a 5-star rating. It helps us a great deal. And of course, punch that follow button along the way. We'll be back here Monday at 1:30. Talk about the NHL trading deadline, the race for the playoffs, where we are in baseball, and obviously all things NFL free agency, which starts first thing on Monday. John, have yourself a great sports weekend.
Yeah, let's see if the Aztecs can salvage this season.
And you have yourself a great sports weekend. Thanks for being co-host of our podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.